Hello everyone, I'm Silverraptor, and welcome back to another Practicing for Warno video. This time, we're playing the French. And the reason why the French are next is because, well, we got all the Germans done, we got the USA and the USSR done, and I figured there's only two nations that I know will be in the start of Warno. That's the British or the French, and the first ones who are going to be released, I'm making a guess. I have no idea. I never looked at any, forums or leaks or discussions. But I think it's going to be the French that are going to be next, because one, they're the continental power right next to Germany, and two, Eugene is French. So that's why we'll be playing them. So let's go and get into the game where I play this French deck. Alright, and as we get started, we've got my forces here. I'm going over to try to take Delta, and I'm using mainly helicopters, since that's what is my French deck. And we've got I don't even know how to pronounce it, but my ally here sending a couple of tornadoes. I'm sending my Raphael. We're just checking for aircraft and planes because they do have a North Korea. So we're just like, oh, they're definitely starting with a B5. So we just got all our aircraft ready to shoot down any B5 that's going to reveal itself. But in the start, I have a bunch of Panzers coming around to drop off all of my forces here, trying to hold this town against any enemy force that can come forward. I have a Cassiope to help shoot at any helicopters and provide ground support as well. That's why I didn't start off with a Gazelle with, I forgot the name of it, but the anti-air Gazelle, because these mountains kind of reduce that capability, at least seeing them long range. So I keep sending my cannon. I'm not seeing anything. I said, this is weird. So at the start here, I propped off a couple of Milan F1s. These are 10 points with 40% accuracy and 17 AP power. They're going to scale any kind of APC that come down here, which is what I was expecting. I put some Rima AB5s here for some high AP power and to guard against any infantry who kind of sneak around, as well as a Mistral. So I'm kind of defended around here while also pulling back all my Panzers. My Servile is coming up. It says only 2 HE power, but definitely good mortar, as well as Mistral and Rimas to guard my infantry CV. Set my Puma. See that there's a whole bunch of stuff here, so we at least know where they are about there. And I see that there's a couple of Pongay 2s here, so I'm just going to kind of pull back. Here it is, Celtic. Yeah, I did bring a Celtic up. And I didn't see any kind of helicopters. So a little bit of lull in the fighting to begin with. Bringing up a Puma Pirate with the French recon unit. And, in the middle, that same ally is going to be bringing all of his British stuff to try to go and secure Gulf, while it looks like the German forces here, or it looks like a combination of, what is it? The German Denmark forces, I think Landshut, that's it, is also going over here, and the enemy is, he also saw a helicopter to see where the enemy forces are as well. So we're getting into position, and as you can see, it's not a whole lot has happened at the very start. I myself was a little confused at this point why they didn't cap Charlie, but that also put me on guard, because I was convinced that they forgo any kind of CV for Charlie for a huge amount of push that they're going to assault my sector. So that made me even a bit more defensive while I sent my troops out over here, just to make sure there wasn't anything trying to sneak around, and there was. So it's a good thing I sent that here, as my Celtic shoots that down. So that MI2 is dead. Then I'm going to see about going down to Bravo, because this has been a really weird start for me. Again, my Raphael is up, waiting for a B5 because of that North Korean nationality, and you always have to be aware of the B5. I was ready to shoot that sucker down the moment I saw it, and so looks like a little bit of action here. I guess he spotted something, so he's preparing to mortar that position, as well as my helicopters are actually flying around over here. So Gazelle Cannon moving up first with its good optics to try to spot for the Celtic and the Cassiope. I wanted the cannon to go first. If there's too much danger, I could get my Cassiope and Celtic back, so I don't lose them to any shenanigans that they have in Bravo. I'm also waiting to bring up some Panzers and the Pirate with its autocannon, and see if I can just cut them off from their air tab and just eliminate the B5, which was the biggest threat for the North Koreans we have. Here we have a T-72, a Czech unit who's kind of spotted out. It looks like territorials are here to guard. Not a whole lot of heavy stuff to take advantage of that. But looks like, I don't know where he's mortaring. I don't know if he saw there or if he's just kind of guessing where they could possibly be. But over here, I sent my helicopters in. There's an F-7B, which I don't think I've ever really seen used. And it's a MiG-21 with some missiles. But anyways, here begins my attack. Here's a Tunguska. And it's going to be pretty dangerous as my cannons are dying. And I kind of realized that this isn't going to work out. I was trying to get my Panthers to fire their rocket pods on target. Manages to stun the Tunguska fire computer reset, but I did lose a lot of helicopters, so that Tunguska definitely kept us back. I should have just retreated immediately when that happened. But with the firing computer reset, the Panther should be able to escape without any of the machine guns shooting at it. It does get stunned, but I marked all the FOBs, and that's a lot of FOBs. So that allows us, with my Caesar in position, and looks like we are getting some other artillery here, we will begin our artillery barrage against the FOBs here. MiG-23 ML shoots at my Gazelle, takes out my AA plane, and then this is just the Panther left. So I did give quite a bit of points to the enemy at the start with the helicopter rush. I thought I could do quite a bit of damage to them. Panther takes a little hit as an F-7B is also trying to rush forward, but it also evacs because I send my Raphael forward. And the F-7B has only 10% ECM, so the Raphael quickly shoots it down and saves my Panther last second. As I'm moving my Jaguar A forward, and I think I'm trying to see about where those Pongay 2s are, or the Tunguska, whichever comes first with my anti-radar, knowing that the MiG-23 is also retreated. Going over this way, seeing that I'm not seeing any radar AA or as a helicopter, but the Pongays fire their missiles at my Jaguar, but they miss because they aren't very accurate. And my Gazelle cannon managed to see that there was something over here as well, so just gotta be careful about that. BTR 152s, and we're still marking where those FOBs are as my planes evac to safety. And the Caesar and the M110 British heavy artillery, we begin the artillerying of their FOBs. So now we don't actually see, so we just have to kind of guess when it kind of dies or how much damage it actually do. And then the enemy actually finally reveals themselves so that they were slowly pushing over here into Charlie. The F1s and the Commandos Para are able to hold off the enemy force here, and seeing that how close they were, I decided I was going to organize my troops. I'm putting the Rimas into the town up front because their Appalachians will definitely reach the tree line here as I'm moving the Milan F1s here into this city line. So I could have probably just left it here in the forest and they could shoot at anything there, but I wanted them to be extra safe as my Servolcus kind of sits back here. And to be honest, I kind of don't really use it that much, I don't think. Again, we're remarking all of the where the FOB positions are. It looks like we actually did successfully destroy this FOB, as this is no longer marked. Actually, I'll just do a quick neutral. Yep, we, they even, I didn't even see this. Their heli saw it, knowing where all the FOBs were. So, yep, we were able to take out one of those FOBs. Jaguar A is coming in again, see if I can catch any of their radar AA. Gets shot at. So that's kind of a bit of a panic. I'm being shot at over here, so this time I actually flew right over the Pongay 2s. It's going to take a while to reload. I actually lost the radar lock, and as you can see, I'm deliberately flying it well away from the radar AA so they don't get a second shot and then evac it in order to guarantee its safety to come back. In the center, the enemy's making a push, and it looks like it's just up to the territorials, some militia, to try to hold them back. As it looks like Mario is trying to slowly push them forward with Fallschirmjägers and a Leopard 2. Leopard 2 took a big hit and went down. Another hit against the tank. This is probably a much heavier tank than the Leopard due to the amount of damage being taken. And it takes an ATGM to the face, so definitely he's relying on a lot of Leopard 2s, but their armor is just not enough against what is there. As more artillery is coming forward, and now we're moving on to, looks like, the second FOB, though it looks like I think I'm still artillerying that because I didn't realize that was actually killed. No one actually told me that. But looks like, yes, we are indeed artillerying the second FOB as well. That will cut into the supply in the long run. Challenger 1 Mark IIs are trying to hold back the enemy force. Tracked rapiers are in danger, being destroyed by artillery and autocannons and forced to be retreat. So he's in a little bit of predicament here. And the enemies begin their attack onto me. I moved my Milan F1s in order to take out the vehicles at long range. They're taking quite a bit of fire, but even at this close range, 86% accuracy with those Milan. They missed this time, but my servo actually is beginning to counter battery with its little mortars here. Rimas are trying to hold up against the Jukwade, the militia forces that are trying to push against the enemy forces here. As more reinforcements are coming, I think these are chasseurs that are going to hold off the enemy force. And I sent my Panzer over, trying to help out his forces. It does get shot down with the autocannons, but the rocket pods should have been able to slowly keep the enemy at bay. The territorials are not doing their job as their militia forces aren't able to really get their assault rifles on the enemy as they're stunned up and destroyed. The Challenger ones are detracted. They're a bit sitting duck, and the enemy's getting pushed out. And there's the B5 as I was too engaged in this. I actually managed to move my Rimas out of the forest of buildings just in time to survive, so only my Milans actually died. The Commando Para actually managed to get far enough away from the blast to survive. Raphael gets stunned up by a recon, but with his last missile does actually manage to shoot down the MiG-23, so it is going into an evac. It is elite up, so definitely a good job of keeping that. Rimas are engaging the Jukwades, but they're being mortared as well, so I have to move the Rimas out of position. Commandos Para moved up to destroy with the Berryusa equivalent that was over here, as my Rimas are trying to get over to the city here to get out of that mortar line of sight. Jaguar A looking for more radar AA as the enemy keeps bringing it. I know they have radar guns. Flies over them. They did a good job of waiting until he was right over so that they'd be able to shoot at him. But again, through my micro, I managed to get him out of position and safely evac back in order to repair and live another day. Rimas are going to try to hold off the Jukwade and try to move forward as I send my Panzers up to try to keep the enemy from pushing forward. And my chasseurs have managed to find BTR 152s. This is where I sent them, and this is where my counterattack is going to begin. I'm going to send my chasseurs to this force and try to clear out this entire forest line and begin starting my push all the way back into Charlie. Where you have some Shilkas moving forward. Oh, they're not actually radar AA. I thought they were radar AA this whole time. That's why I kept saying the Jaguars in. The Jukwade are trying to move forward, but the Rimas, even though they're panicked, have mini-me's, FAMASes, and elite or shock training to be able to hold off the enemy force as they move up a TO-55. So they definitely have a napalm tank that they're going to try to bring forward into the position, as I'm also trying to mortar them with the Serval. Panzer has to fall back, but does get shot down by the Chilkas. Napalm tank hits where my Commandos Para are, which are also trying to engage against the Jukwades. Able to actually hold them back pretty well, as Rimas are actually getting artillery upon. And the Legions are trying to cut through this forest slowly between the napalm and then try to find the TO-55, which they do. Engage with the Eric's missiles and take it out. I had my mini-me's off just to make sure that they would be able to do that. I think I quickly turned them back on to engage the Jukwades here into the town, as my Rimas do fall back under the constant artillery and barrage that's going on. Legion 90s used the range of the Eric missiles to take out the Shilka, and then are immediately begin engaging again with their FAMASes and mini-me's towards these Jukwades in order to get these militia out. Mi-8 gunships are trying to move up, engaging with their machine guns and their rocket pods, as my Rimas also trying to move up to engage the enemy. I don't actually have any mistrals here, which I kind of realized, as these Mi-8 gunships are actually trying to do quite a bit of damage, but they are flying right over my forces. My Rimas aren't actually engaging, which is kind of irking me here at the time being, as my AMX-10 stay back for the time being, unloading more chasseurs to be able to continue the sweep forward into the forest line. And this is actually as you can see, quite a bit of a defense here on my part, as the enemy does manage to successfully push out my ally in the middle. Tornado GR1s and a block an F-16 Block A are dropping cluster munitions. Lots of cluster on the T-72Ms. And with all that cluster, both of those tanks are immediately destroyed, so that will definitely help them out in trying to push back the enemy force. And another B-5 actually landed as my Raphael was being repaired in the process. My Caesar is launching artillery strikes again. And I guess I'm firing where the mortars were firing. Let's just do a neutral here. And they are moving their mortars out of the way, so they are definitely aware of that. The Second fob took a bit of damage, but I think we kind of forgot about this because we were all into all defense mode and we forgot where their positions were for those fobs. But it doesn't quite matter in the long run. We destroyed one of them, so that's definitely helps us out. Territorial's caught out in the open by Mi-4s with a lot of rockets. Track Rapier moves up, engages against the Mi-4 as the FV-232 is actually leading in their counterattack. Scouting out first. Mi-4 gets shot down. Infantry reveal themselves. Molostroki to take the Challenger 1. 4 HE power, which is basically HESH shots being fired at the Molostroki. Another vehicle, looks like another BTR, has moved up as my Rimas are trying to get back into the town position in order to be able to hold off the next enemy forces that come forward and the form of Yakuday. So 20-man squads against 60 Yakudays, as well as the vehicle, which they quickly shoot at with Appalachian. Vab T-20s with their autocannons are getting into position. And this is kind of a little bit of a funky sight line. There's a little bit of hill here, so they can't quite see the Yakudays from here. I have a Cassiope here, waiting for the Shoka to get closer. I moved the Rimas back so that the Shoka can't actually shoot them. But it still gets into position, so I have to, again, retreat them to keep them from getting wiped out by the Shoka. But I'm moving the T-20s up, hoping to be able to auto-cannon those Yakudays down. And also, the benefit of moving back with the Shoka is that those mortars are now no longer actually hitting their target. And looks like we have artillery going forward, and looks like we actually destroyed... Oh, no, we didn't. But we're actually targeting the back line here of the FOB, remembering where that was. So, again, the artillery is still continuing as we're trying to destroy their supply, as well as their force. The Yakudays move forward, but I have some Rimas here waiting for them, as the enemy is literally trying to probe me down and bring artillery and deaths down onto all of my units. As it looks like I'm bringing artillery down to defend against any additional forces coming over here. Whereas my Chasseurs and AMX-10s are moving up. Looks like the Vabs took a few bit of RPGs to the face from the Yakudays and they lost one of them. But the Rimas are getting some reinforcements as some more Vabs are coming up. Dropping off some more Legion 90s. As there's another couple of TO-55s. Rimas say, nope, no napalm here. Get that out of here as the Yakudays are again not doing very well. Draken comes in. Fortunately, it's a little too close. Does basically do more damage to my Rima squad than the Yakudays, so I appreciate your effort, but that didn't quite help. Shoka, I didn't realize, again, was radar, so I tried to go for that. I think now I started realizing that that's not radar AA, that or I just figured it was off. Cannon sees the Shoka, and I need to figure out how to deal with that, as I've been holding off the enemy Yakuday positions and the artillery fire, while also getting my Chasseurs in position. I'm waiting these guys right here as I wait for these group of Chasseurs to move up. They are a little bit slow, just being regular trained. But my goal is to flank into Charlie and catch the enemy by surprise. It looks like my ally here managed to get Gulf neutralized as Mario continues his position to try to engage in Hotel. As another enemy attack begins, Legion 90s move up with the Rimas. I've actually swapped them out so that the Rimas can try to get their morale up. Unfortunately, the attack begins before they can, but they're still trained enough to be able to use their Appalachian to take out the enemy vehicles here. The Vabs moving into position to just shoot at the Yakuday as they're kind of standing out in the open. It looks like didn't give any order to these troops as they're just getting peppered. Legion 90s engaging with their close quarter mini-me's. And the Rima is actually going to move up to try to take out this TO-55 as another B-5 is again coming in. And there's the crater, taking out my Rima and my Vab. But the Legion 90s stayed alive. As the Block 5 are coming in and the Drakawad are dropping their bombs to try to help out my position with Cluster. All destroyed. The Yakudays are pretty deadly hurt as the Legion 90s are trying to take them out. Just sending militias at highly shock-trained men does not quite work. My Chasseurs are all caught up. I'm sending a couple of Panthers here with Mistral so I can unload, so I can finally be a little more responsive to the B5s coming in. For some reason, my cannon is not seeing it coming in, and I'm able to react fast enough with my Raphael. More artillery coming in. Did we actually take out the FOB? We did. So there is only 2 FOBs left. And, yeah, that's that's all she wrote for the enemy. Looks like an F6. So that's funny. That thing has rocket pods that are supposed to airburst and just detonate when they get close to an aircraft. Not sure what he was trying to do. I thought he was going after my Gazelle cannon, but he didn't actually do it. Legion 90s are forced out with the napalm into the open so that the Shilka and Yakude can kill it. And I do eventually lose that town, which I think was his goal, was just to constantly bomb and send a militia in to eventually take that position. It's a cheaper way of doing it, but I have been killing quite a bit of it, and only now have finally lost the position. I moved my Vabs up to actually kill the Shilka with their autocannon, so that was actually pretty good on that end. F6 does go after my Gazelle cannon, and I actually evac'd the Raphael because I figured that it was getting a little too close to the air defenses, and I didn't want anything to come and hit the Raphael while it was there. Vabs engaging directly with the Yakudes, who are trying to engage with their basically PPSHs, according to that model. Vab quickly turns and tries to target the Shilka, as the Yakudes are trying to move forward with the RPG-2s. And the Cassiope is also going to be trying to engage with the Yakudes as the AMX-10s reveal themselves and take out the gunship as it's coming forward. And now it's all or ever. My Chasseurs are now beginning the assault into Charlie. It's a small force, but it's designed to wreck the enemy's rear, as I'm trying to also again reinforce my position here. My French troops, with all of these helicopters that they come in, aren't exactly cheap, so AMX-10s are taking fire, but I am pretty confident that they'll be able to survive and get right up to the enemy face. They have 3 front armor, and the Yakudes don't quite have the RPG strength. There's only 10 AP power to actually really kill them in one hit. The AMXs are actually just going to stay here and fight at point-blank range, regardless of the RPG-2s that are firing back at the enemy, or the enemy's firing back at them. And with the Chasseurs and the AMX-10s, and being backed up by Commandos Para and a Pirate as move forward, as well as my Serval also going to be, well, no, he's artillery, something else it seems. We're going to be holding back the enemy. And it looks like the Yakudes are trying to get around and shoot at my position in the rear. My Rimas, 85s, are actually moving over here, as well as the Panthers in the background, also trying to keep the enemy force away from my CV to keep them from hitting us in the flank, as more Chasseurs are moving up. As well as my Chasseurs starting to get into position here, taking it to town, looking for a CV. Seeing that the mortars are here, it's now time to regroup and go over that way. Our mortars are coming in on top of the Chasseurs, so they are starting to get stunned up pretty bad as the Yakudes do die. I mean, they are only 5 points for each squad, so that works here. My Chasseurs actually get hit in the side here, so I quickly unload them. This is from another enemy. Looks like a Czechoslovakian unit, as Chasseurs do get chewed up pretty badly. Jaguar A is again looking forward and signs an OSA AKM that was on. Actually manages to shoot at a Pongay 2 and the OSA before it does get taken down, as there's too many missiles, but that combination more than made up for the loss of a Jaguar. Chasseurs are moving up. I'm kind of incredulous that there's no actual infantry here, so I'm getting into position to try to hold off the enemy force, as Chasseurs are beginning to open up against the BTRs here, but unable to get them before they unload their Yakude. But my other Chasseurs are going to be moving forward with the AMX-10 to try to find the enemy forces. As you can see, they're bringing in lots of reinforcements. These were definitely destined to try to go into Delta, but now they have to quickly change their plans in order to do that. Chasseurs killing off some heavy stuff, and finally finding the mortars and killing off the mortars one by one. Ignoring the Yakude that are going to be opening fire. Well, now they're engaging. But I do have autocannons, so if those mortars go on the run, those autocannons I expect should be able to find, but their goal is to find the CV and anything juicy. And they do. They're shooting at the mortars. Mortars are going away. No more mortars to come in to wreck my position. Yakude are caught out in the open, as 3 Chasseur squads are cutting them down here, as the other Chasseurs in the forest shooting back at the Yakude that are moving forward. AMX-10s are actually doing an ambush, as more Yakude BTR 152s are cut to ribbons as it comes forward. I'm even going to engage these Mi-4 cargo that was trying to come up against the enemy force, as they're actually retreating some of their ZSU 57s to try to deal with my AMX-10s that are doing all this amount of damage. One of them actually manages to go down to AMX-10 before anything could be done. Quickly try to move my Chasseurs out. Do get pretty much wiped out by a defensive B5, as my Mistrals are actually going into place. And as you can see, I have begun slowly but surely pushing back my enemy, who thinks that lots of cheap, that quantity is a quality of its own, and while it is in normal cases, not so much here against really quality units. as my AMX-10s have ran out of fuel, so they're just going to sit here and just try to engage whatever they can with their autocannons, destroying the Yequidaes before they're killed. As you can see, with their heavy armor, they're actually surviving quite a huge fight. Chasseurs actually have not been able to use their light machine guns that much, as they have been engaging with their FAMASes, but the Yequidae also have their Type 49s, aren't as accurate as the Chasseurs, so I've actually been having an advantage in this position, as the enemy is literally just trying to do everything he can to try to dislodge me from this position. Mistral have moved up, and only one managed to hit the gunship. They're going to be trying to take out the helicopters that have come into this position, and this relatively cheap force of AMX-10s and Chasseurs and a couple of Mistrals have basically neutralized Charlie and forced the enemy into retreat, as more artillery is being fired from my Caesar against the enemy force. I think I'm trying to counter battery something that was firing here. I guess the Coxswains were there, and I've just been counter battering it, but they did indeed move it. And my CV gets caught by the Vizdakari. Rimas are engaging, backed up by the rocket pods, and there's even a TO-55 that I have to get ready to engage. I am aware of this. And Appalachian opens up, takes out the TO-55, and they quickly reposition so that they can take out the OT-64As as well. Appalachian takes that out, and so there are some stuff here, but I'm going to have to bring in another infantry CV in order to recapture this Delta position. The Moderna is on the front line, as looks like with a bunch of militia, my ally managed to push forward. So it's interesting. I'm able to hold off against the militia spam. My ally is doing the militia spam in the center and has slowly started regaining territory using militia. So it's an interesting how I'm holding off against the same tactic that my ally is using against the enemy. So, and it looks like Mario has had massive success in pushing the enemy out of Hotel in a coordinated strike, able to neutralize Hotel. So he knows that the CV has to be here into this forest line. The Fallschirmjäger 90s killing off that tank as more and more artillery are dropping in, and he's trying to desperately take over Hotel. My Puma 330 is coming in as a reinforcement, as looks like my Reba are being artillery. I have some Chasseur in the backline as these Chasseurs move up. Manages to hit a T-62, but doesn't actually kill it before they actually die, as I was looking for the CV once again. Mistrals, now that the enemy infantry is dead, is now on the retreat, going to try to position itself into the top of this little forest here on the mountain, so I can shoot at any kind of helicopter or plane that is to fly over, as I'm just continuously trying to secure my position. And the fact that I brought in all these helicopters is perfect for the position that I have, so that I can constantly directly reinforce my stuff through Delta, as there are definitely infantry here. As you can see, I've dropped off 60 Chasseurs, and I'm going to begin pushing forward here as my ally is bringing up his territorials in order to begin a push into the forest line. My Puma 330, it only has a machine gun, but it's definitely good for scouting to see if enemy forces try to shoot back. I actually brought some AMX-10s to try to see if they could shoot at any enemy infantry force that come forward. These guys have a 9-round rate of fire, fast speed, and pretty accurate for just a measly 40 points. So definitely a good little tank, as I'm trying to go along here to shoot at any infantry that the enemy might have. And a little bit of a lull. Looks like with the Danish mortars, he's trying to guess where the enemy CV might be. Looks like there might be something right here into this forest line. I do hope he kills it as he rains down upon the position. It's like a little bit of exhaustion on both sides. Let's check the FOB status. The FOBs are taking quite a bit of a beating. We definitely could have killed them if we had just remembered about them. But again, there was a lot of action going on between then and now. Looks like my ally actually sets up some SAS to engage the Yequidaes. And actually, even though the SAS don't have a light machine gun, they're definitely going to be pretty advantaged taking out against militia, as they are elite trained. So their usual weakness against infantry does not apply in this position, as my Mistrals are in position to also be able to help out the SAS. And looks like we finally found the enemy force. AMX-10s have been moving across so that they could definitely reinforce the Chasseurs, as my Puma is going to be moving up to try to spot where the enemy is, as I also bring in a logistics truck finally in order to supply my forces in Delta. Puma finds the I don't know why. The Viz. I'll just call him the Viz. I don't know why I always trip up over that. Looks like artillery fire. I think this is my ally who's doing it. Yeah, I guess he's trying to guess where their CV is. It's a little bit risky, that, or he's trying to target artillery. I think he's just trying to guess where the CV is. So, or that he was going for that smirch that I just saw at the last minute here. SAS are engaging Yucquides and BTR 152s with their AT-4 weapons. So they're beginning their incursion into here as I'm bringing forward my Panzers in order to take up this position. F-5Bs are moving up to shoot at the SAS, stunning them up, who try to return fire with Stinger missiles but are unable to get them off in time. As there was a little bit of a helicopter push here. Raphael is up in position because I'm figuring, it might be time for a B5 sometime soon. That or I just see the Mi-17 and I want that for breakfast. It looks like it is. And one missile hit. I have to quickly turn around and bring my Raphael to engage against the Mi-17. Looks like we managed to take out the CV here as they're sending Mi-24As against the enemy force. Don't bring this helicopter. Bring the Mi-24D. This one's just not good enough. AMX-10s. Looks like they killed the vehicle here. Looks like another BTR. As my chasseurs are actually beginning to push forward here on this side of the mountaintop, and I'm trying to swing forward. More VABs are bringing more Legion 90s forward. I think I'm still trying to do a defensive position, hold this position here, but my chasseurs looks like they're going to be soon moving up. I think I may have forgotten about these guys. They have Milan's F1s in them as I'm focusing on taking into the center town. Hotel's been completely taken by Mario, so that is definitely good as a Tornado GR cluster bomber is coming forward, dropping his cluster rounds, taking some fire back. It looks like there's some Donnas here. Does get taken out by some radar AA or whatever he clustered, did survive. That is unfortunate, but the Challenger is engaging the T-72S and is trying to move up. A couple of planes are also flying around. Looks like they're going to try to pepper Mario, who's actually taking a lot of pressure off of us as the enemy is trying to deal with the enemy here. F-7Bs are moving up, but the automatics quickly opening fire, taking out one of the F-7Bs. Now that was definitely a worthwhile on our part. AMX-10s are going to provide covering fire as the chasseurs and territorials are moving forward against the Valunici. Again, more militia. Even though these aren't the best units, they're still decent in doing what they're supposed to do, especially when backed up by AMX-10s, both the RC with the cannon and, of course, the autocannon variant. They're bringing the TO-55 to just kind of napalm and keep our forces back at bay. Chasseurs moving up as I'm trying to get into the town to do as much damage as I can. Moving my AMX-10s, I think, up, forward. A MiG-29 is dropping thermobaric bombs. And again, I don't have anything to directly deal with that, as they even bring a seed plane, which I don't have any seed, so no worry about that here. AMX-10s are actually being smirched as my Raphael tries to go up to take out that seed plane and misses due to its high ECM. That was unfortunate, but the AMX-10s are moving up. I'm trying to flank against the T-62s here. Those autocannons will rip a T-62 in the rear. Case in point, completely destroyed. My chasseurs died to the napalm. Instead, there was a lot of napalm, but it doesn't matter because our vehicles are just wrecking the enemy forces here. Countering fire with their machine guns and rapid fire cannons against the Valunici's basically World War II style RPG. So they are taken out of action. AMX-10 is now going to be moving in to look for the CV as with the past search here onto the left side for a CV. I begin my counterattack. Chasseurs moving up, engaging BTR-152 as the Mistral shoots down that gunship, which would have provoked a little bit of a problem with my AMX, as I'm sending more of the VAB T-20s that dropped off the Legion 90s. And yeah, I should have probably said this stuff forward, but I also like to have contingency. I like to have secondary lines in case something doesn't work. I'm not scrambling. I have something that can shoot back and hold back the enemy force. At this point, I finally have enough that bringing forward some Panzers and some Boom Pirates, so I can bring up some more quality units and helicopters quickly and continue my assault to retake Charlie as my ally taken Hotel, my ally has taken Gulf, now it's my turn to really take Charlie. AMX-10's going heads first against the Equidays. Again, I don't fear the Equidays RPGs because these guys have 3 front armor and able to withstand against those puny RPGs. The AMX-10 RCs have 4 front armor and have a nice cannon to boot. So, again, counter push is moving forward into Charlie. We are pretty close in getting the amount of points that we need. F113 is dropping a bunch of bombs here. I guess he's just trying to clear off or panic the enemy forces as they move forward as thermobarbaric bombs come in. Trying to take out my vehicles. Actually panic them up pretty nicely. Pirate is engaging some stuff as the UAZ is finally spotted. It's taken out. Pirate is engaging the Pongay 2. And the AMX-10 is going to then fire and shoot at, or basically clear out the Pongay 2 at near point blank range. And again, my Chasseurs are moving up. Bab's taking out the Shoka, and Charlie is soon going to be ours. I don't have any CV coming up, but there are reinforcements to make sure, in case that didn't work. Tornadoes shot down a MiG-25 seed unit, so that is definitely good. We don't have to worry about that. As a Mars cluster munition is dropped on enemy forces over here. So, we're slowly pushing the enemy back. Again, territorials, or no, Panther Grenadiers are over here. Looks like it finally ran out of territorials. Raphael is in the back in case another plane comes. And there is the IL-2. Raphael, I think I should be engaging this pretty quickly. With the IL-2 moving forward. And yes, I do see it. Raphael is engaging with its high range of missiles. Does shoot at the IL-2 and saves my Chasseur's life by being the points I needed to secure the final kill of the enemy forces. Basically a near 2-to-1 kill to death ratio on my end. This kind of skewed because I kept going back to neutral, but again, a lot of cheap stuff against my quality French units, highly trained, highly motivated French units against the masses that the enemy threw against us, and able to keep the enemy at bay. So, yeah, that was definitely pretty cool, pretty good. My middle ally, with all of his militia, struck about even. Mario did have about a 200-point advantage on his push on the right side. So I was definitely very cautious. I definitely could have taken a bit more risks and probably get more rewards, but hey, I wanted to bring back as many Frenchmen to their wives as possible. So, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video.